All of it starts by finding multicaster, though. You need that. And that beats my whole deck. Alright, now it's unwinnable, I'm pretty sure. Unless this sticks and kills him. Strike a pose. But yeah, this card that they printed is so toxic, dude. I don't know why they decided. They're like, Quest Warrior's the best deck. Let's just print a card that destroys all the other decks and give it to Quest Warrior. Quest Warrior only loses to combo. Let's give it a card that kills all the combo decks instantly when you play it. So dumb. There's a very unfun limiting design space card.
Let's get salty!
Everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and the Warmaster Blackhorn situation is absolutely crazy. I don't know if I've seen a card in recent history that is driving people more crazy than this guy over here. He's a 7-mana, 6/6 early access legendary. Anybody can play it right now. It's free, and he has Battle Cry. Destroy all cards that cost 2 or less in both players' hands and decks. So you're facing a combo deck that relies on anything 2 or less. It's gone. Any meme deck that, you know, shuffles 1-mana cards into their deck or whatever, they're all gone. And if they're not, well, it's a 7-mana 6/6. Do nothing. Not particularly great. It's a dead card in your hand, which happens a lot of the time. But what it's also doing is driving people absolutely insane, saying it's one of the worst design cards of all time, or saying it's one of their favorite cards of all time because it destroys the deck set. Well, I personally loathe mana cheat combo decks, right? Get rid of them. But yeah, we're gonna go over the community reaction and my feeling on it, where most people just assume I love this card, that I made them make this card. This is a Zeddy card. My opinion might surprise you on this one. So yeah, we'll go through that. Of course, we are doing a giveaway still for Cataclysm for 2 regular pre-orders, 1 mega bundle out of my pocket. To enter that giveaway, like and comment in the video, link down description below, the one with that thumbnail over there. Be subscribed to the channel. Every 1,000 subs we get until that rewards track refresh goes live, I will add another mega bundle. So hit that sub button, make me go baroque. And that rewards track should have a golden Warmaster Blackhorn on it, by the way. It should. And also shout out to Firebat, who you may have seen give his take on the card in the intro. He just posted his first video back on his channel in a while. He's been streaming, so if you haven't been keeping up with Firebat, give him a look, right? OG World Champion, great to see him back. But yes, Blackhorn, absolutely contentious. Before we get into the public reaction to the card, I want to go over exactly the meta impact this card has had. If we're looking at the card itself in terms of popularity, it is now in 20% of decks, which is not something to scoff at. That isn't quite a lot. So 1 in 5 decks on average. This is on Aegis Replay. Users at Legend are using it. At Diamond through Legend, it's significantly less, like 16%, but still kind of goes into the rule that I remember Exar used to talk about for hate cards that are specifically made to just hate on things, like Ticketus, which is an example we have seen come up, although way more narrow of a tech card, but something you can kind of compare to that just deletes possibly a win condition or whatever, that he would say like 15 to 20% if it sees that much play. It's something that they think they should nerf for pure hate cards, which honestly it is. And if you look at the meta, the decks that it's mostly in, if we look at Diamond through Legend, is basically Quest Warrior and Blood Control Deathlight, with Blood Control Deathlight being at a whopping 52% win rate at Diamond through Legend. And if we find Quest Warrior, am I blind? Where do I see Quest Warrior on here? Oh yeah, it's right down below here. Nothing super top tier, but certainly playable. And if we go to, like, I don't know, Legend, right? Where's Quest Warrior? Well, it's still in the same range. Same with Control Deathlight, 52%. 50%, and at top Legend we have Quest Warrior doing even worse, right? Sub 50% and not doing great. So using HS Guru, we can kind of isolate the card a little bit better here, where if we take the card stats and mulligan, just to see how powerful this card is, right? That's one of the things that we'll talk about why I'm bringing this up in a bit, but if you see, take a look at mulligan impact. Obviously this card, not gonna be great in the mulligan. It's all the way down here, one of the worst cards you could possibly keep, but the better number to see the strength of the card is when it's drawn, and the drawn impact of this card also really hurts the deck, right? When drawn on average, it is one of the worst cards out there, and the same can be said for Blood Control DK, where if you mulligan for the card, obviously not going to be as good, but technically in the blood deck, it's not the worst, right? Like, it's not hurting you that much, and then the drawn impact of the card, not great. So you can see the two decks that it's in, not particularly great, arguably one of the worst cards in the deck for both of them. The deck win rates of the decks that are doing well with it aren't particularly great, but they're competitive. But it's in 20% of decks, and the reaction to this card has been nothing more than extraordinary, to the point that we have people posting the summary of why Warmaster Blackhorn is unhealthy long-term design for the game. This is apparently a summary where they wrote a very, very long essay. This guy does like the summaries for Vicious Syndicate podcasts. Nothing wrong with the post. I just probably don't pick the word summary because it triggered so many people that's the summary. Just could have said why Warmaster Blackhorn is unhealthy for the long-term design of the game. And I found it very interesting. And in this post I saw, it is crazy, Zeddy got a card before Worlds winner Yan Ming, who yes, does not have a card yet, but as Jin pointed out, and I agree, I already had a titled customer. We already had our very own card. What are we talking about here, right? So when a card can evoke this kind of reaction, this kind of sentiment, I'm just going to go over all the different Reddit posts I have seen. I'm not going to go over Twitter posts because they have been incredibly toxic. I'm sorry, I would love to highlight some creators talking about this, but they're almost exclusively combo creators, and they're using slurs. They're just they're insulting everybody, and that's kind of the point I want to get to kind of go over how I feel, because I'll just say right out the gate, I agree with a card like this not being really healthy for the game, even if it statistically isn't a great card, which it's not. It's what it does. It basically creates a horrible feeling for one player and kind of like a tee-hee, I messed up the other player, it's a hate card, and those can be fine. We've seen them throughout time, a Ticketus, right? We've seen that. We've seen it with Mutinous. We've seen it with even Steam Cleaner, right? Which is in the core set, but the difference with those cards, they're way more narrow. They hit a specific, very specific thing, but a card like Warmaster Blackhorn, it just flat out hits a complete series of cards. There's nothing you can do to stop it other than kill them before they play it, and that can be really frustrating, even if it's for decks I hate, right? I really don't like solitaire combo decks, which is the best thing this is against. If you can play this against an aggro deck, you've already won if you can play a 7-mana 6/6. It's not a great counter to aggro. It's mostly just there to dunk on combo decks, where I kind of tweeted this out as a comparison. Imagine this, right? I said the next 2 early access legendaries have leaked. Now everyone should be happy. Imagine they just made a card that just blankly destroyed all cards that cost 7 or more. How frustrating that would be if your win con was 7 or more. You're playing a big value deck. That would feel pretty awful. And the same going for the other range, right? We hit the 0 to 2, the 7 or more. Why not the 3 to 6 with the big Yeti Hunter, where that would feel bad if you're playing a really mid-range deck. It's such a broad spectrum of cards that it's just no way is it really fun. It's also limiting, where if those are really potentially strong decks, then you just play this one tech card and you might just auto beat it in a matchup. To me, that's not great design. It's just not, and it's something that probably should be addressed considering the play rate and the feeling the card is creating. Because look at these Reddit threads. How many? This isn't just a few days. I kind of hearted or thumbed up a bunch of them where we have I fear no man, but that thing, it scares me, right? They want to play their Aviana Priest, set their cards to 1. If that happens, it just blows everything up. It hard counters their entire deck. There's also the argument of like, I think what the Rogue Fabled card, that just hard counters no minion decks, which I like. No minion Demon Hunter, no minion Mage. Is that a poorly designed card? In some ways, yes, but shouldn't that just be more that those cards should be based on your starting deck and not worry about, you know, a Fable? That's what I think it should be. And then that would fix that problem. But again, another example of a card specifically countering a deck where there's nothing you can really do about it. We have like this guy plays this card against a mage, it's a spell mage, just deletes their entire hand and deck. We have Blackhorn is actually a great addition to the game. It's like having a druid player who just plays a deck that literally does nothing on the board but spams locations you cannot interact with except with a very specific tech card, which wouldn't even be played if it wasn't for release. Only plays taunts and survival cards, then drops Alonius and nukes you for like 32 or some bullshit. And when you say anything, they go, oh, what were you doing for 9 turns? And now we have a sudden card that literally turns it on their head. But what were you doing for 7 turns is not a valid answer all of a sudden. How about going through 25 different blobs only for Broxagar and his 2 panda lovers to hit you in the face for 36? Sound like something that the game really needs. This card is effing great for the game. All we need now is to make removal more expensive, keep control in check, and rotate Protoss Mage out of the game, and it'll be good as new. Funny thing is, the 2 things he's complaining about, Panda, Brewmaster, that's rotating. Protoss, rotating. You don't like it, play Dragon Warrior or a Paladin like a normal human being. And this was what I always heard from combo enjoyers when like, oh man, I can't stand Ticketus, although I never really cared about Ticketus. But they would crap on players for getting mad at Ticketus. Well, play a proactive deck, you know, develop tempo while removing theirs, right? That type of argument, that's always crappy. Why should I not be able to play the deck I want because of these specific cards? And now that it's happening to combo players, we're seeing them lose their minds when a lot of those people were the type of people to just dunk on anybody for complaining. Be like, oh, Tech W, lol. You're an idiot for playing these cards, right? We have more posts here. 20 ranked games at gold, 20 times against Aura Paladin. How could one card F up 90% of the current decks? Because people are noting that the play rate is going down for these combo decks because there's so much of that card, right? 20% of the time, your combo's deleted, doesn't feel particularly great. And it says since the release of the Blackhorn, dude, ranked is the most boring S ever. I'll argue it's just boring because we're waiting for rotation, but sure, whatever you want to say. I can't express how much I love this card. I've been playing just to play this card. My sole purpose in life has become to slam this card down whenever I draw it. I feel a sense of excitement I've not felt in years. I've been feeling miserable as a control player for ages, and this card, I've been in love with it, with the text box since the moment I laid my eyes on it. My salvation. There have been times that I've played this in my opponent's deck, went from 18 to 5, and their hand went from 9 to 4, and have almost passed out from the sheer level of satisfaction it has brought me. There have almost been moments that I've slammed this down on my opponent, lost 2 to 4 cards, and I felt an instant connection with them. Another fellow control player, what a beautiful sight, has made me want to go shake their hand in the name of brotherhood. So yeah, clearly some fans, but you can see that the joy they're getting is by creating absolute misery and, you know, torment to their other opponent, not by really beating their strategy, but by playing a card that happens to just delete it, right? Which again, is fun for the player doing it to an extent, but it completely negates the whole play purpose of the other player, which you could argue a combo deck has done, right? They just, you play your game and they just stall, it doesn't matter, and then they spam their 0 mana combo, blow you up. There's no interaction with that either. There's no interaction in either side of these equations, right? Neither are particularly fun or interactive. That's why I've always said combo decks shouldn't be like top tier. They can be competitive to keep, you know, greedy control decks in line. That's the whole spirit and nature of combo beats control, control beats aggro, aggro beats combo, and mid-range usually comes in there and also can beat control. But could also be beat by combo, but sometimes beats aggro, right? We have that kind of cyclical nature. When you have a card like this in there that could disrupt that entire flow, that can be really devastating. Deleting this game is the only counter. It's been fun. Rip Pirate Druid and all my casual fun Discover decks. Zero dust to even do anything about this dropping. We have a post, want new cards to be strong. Not a problem. And it says, who wants new cards to shake up the meta? Everybody wants something. And then this guy drops, and the Warrior player is still happy to see it. A lot of others not. I would say it's more than just the Warrior player, but again, it's more for, yeah, those greedy control guys like me. This is a card you would think I would like, but I really don't, because again, polarizing deck cards, I've always been against, regardless of if it favors me or not. I am not a biased main of any sorts. To me, what it does is just far too broad, far too polarizing, that, yeah, I'm making this video and not being like, I think it's great. We have the new card idea. Destroy combo from Hearthstone. The hero this subreddit needs. Disruptor Blackhand, 5-mana 8/4 Battlecry. Destroy all legendary 7-cost cards in both players' hands and deck. And we also have favorite legendary for the next 2 years. Battlecry. If your opponent is playing solitaire, close it and open Hearthstone for them. Comment your latest deck, hand obliteration here. I'll start, just reduce someone's hand from 8 to 2, and deck from 17 to 8, insta concede. So yeah, if you can't tell by the way I feel about it, sure, it's fun to dunk on the combo players. It's pretty rare in Hearthstone that we get that opportunity lately, especially since Storm went on. Those type of decks have been really dominant, but to just print a card that can auto beat them with no build around other than, yeah, I have to run a pretty crappy card. A 7-mana 6/6 isn't great. And again, I use that example of if we did the exact same opposite range, it would also feel really bad for that subset of player. I feel like if you want to beat those decks, you should have to target them in a way your deck is constructed, not just some polarizing tech card, in my opinion. However, I feel like one of the reasons why people are so much like, screw these guys, this is great, is what I said here, this tweet. And it's why I wasn't really standing up for, you know, saying the card isn't great for the game right away, by saying the same people who mocked and belittled players over being upset for having their slowed greed piles being destroyed by bad tech cards like Ticketus are up in arms now that a bad tech card, because let's be real, you looked at the stats, you looked at the decks, it's not a great tech card in any way other than what it could possibly warp the meta by, and the you know, how people are feeling, targets their combo decks. Funny how it's bad design when it affects their playstyle. And someone noted I spelt effects wrong, and then I noted I spelt there wrong, which I didn't. I was just being sarcastic, and I just thought it was funny. How about talk about my point, right? But regardless, that's why I have been having fun with this, right? At least on Twitter, on socials, because yeah, they've these type of players, a lot of them, not all of them, I don't want to like class everyone together, but I've had a lot of hate thrown my way because cards are, you know, greedy and just get good, play, stop playing decks or just pass and don't do anything. And the second a card comes out that, you know, punishes them, all of a sudden, what are we doing here? This is the worst design card ever, which it's not. We've had plenty of bad cards. It's like Skulking Geist, but, you know, a little bit amplified. We've had plenty of terrible cards designed, Elucia, Objection, Theotar, tons of stuff like that. It's nothing new, but now that it specifically targets combo players, it's the worst thing ever. So yeah, I've been having a little bit of fun, you know, dunking on them, but overall, no, I don't think a card like this that just flat out hits a pretty wide range of cards, 2 or less. It's pretty wide for no real build around. It's just a card you can throw in. It just happens at 7 mana. Great Elise activator right now. It's super polarizing, and I've always been of the mind that super polarizing tech cards, no matter what it hits, whether it's a combo deck, a control deck, whatever, they should never be remotely near competitive. Like Steam Cleaner right now, it's a horrible card. It does punish certain decks, it outright deletes like some decks in some ways, but it's so narrow and so bad that it's probably totally fine. It sees like 5% played right? It's not that common, and you're kind of aware of it and all of that. That a card like that, even that card, I feel like, you know, you could argue shouldn't exist, but a card like this that's a lot more wide in when it hits, doesn't have the hugest downside because of Elise right now. Once Elise gets nerfed, I'm sure it'll have a bigger downside. It just creates the worst possible feeling for one side of the player, right? For one subset, and I just feel like that's not the spirit of Hearthstone. The spirit of Hearthstone is winning by playing your strategy, and your strategy shouldn't just be, I put in one tech card that will likely just destroy one matchup and leave it at that, right? I personally, I don't think that's great, and I understand the joy in it. Believe me, I've been wanting to punish combo players for a long time. It can drive me quite crazy, but to me, this is not the way of going about it. And if they did change this card in the future, I would totally understand. And I feel like I would be really hypocritical if I said anything less, you know, like the players that are complaining about it, who a lot of them are being quite hypocritical. Let's be real. Anyways, let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm sure there'll be plenty that disagree with me, plenty that agree with me. We'll see what happens, if anything, to this card, but I will say, if it gets changed, I won't have a problem with it. I totally understand, but it has been really fun to watch the crash outs over this card. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.